Hey friends, so I am back from my holiday and it was just a really nice time away. So I wanted to obviously share some of the clips of my holiday with you, which you may have seen already, and then just sit down and talk about my thoughts and feelings while I was on holiday, what I was reading, and some other sort of like bookish things. So I was on holiday in sunny Malta. I love going on holiday to Malta because it's more like going home for me. It's not really like a vacation because I have lived there previously. I lived there for a year while I was on my year abroad, quite a while ago now. And previous to that, I'd been on holiday to Malta quite a few times. So it's nice to go, even for the amount of time that I went, which was just 4 nights, 5 days, because I don't feel the need to do all of like the touristy things because I've done all of that before. I can just go and relax and feel like I'm living there and having this really nice luxurious life, basically. I did have a really nice time. I went swimming in the sea, I went swimming in the pool, I did some sunbathing, we went to Camino, which is one of the sister islands, swam in the beautiful turquoise sea, went on a speedboat, that was super fun, and had some really good food in the capital city, Valletta, which I absolutely adore. So yeah, a great time was had. It was very much needed. After my previous video, you will have heard about some of the stuff that's been going on at work, so it was really nice to take some time away from that. However, in the essence of being honest, I think one of the things that always happens to me when I go on holiday, like, yes, I definitely recharged my batteries. Yes, it was great to be away from my responsibilities and I really made the most of that. But I kind of feel like sometimes when you're in this other space, the vacation space, you then start to notice where your mind is at. And like I say, Malta is always one of those places where it's kind of done that for me. It's made me realise, you know, where I'm at in my life in terms of, I guess, my mental health. And that being said, I'm in a very good place, which is great. But like I say, when your brain starts popping up with these little things, when you're in a brand new scenery, I think you notice it more. And one of the things I guess I've been struggling with recently is this sort of like idea of perfection. And one of my affirmations recently has been like, perfection doesn't exist. And that's really been helping me in terms of creating. In the past, when I have this idea that everything has to be perfect, and when it isn't, I just stop doing things completely. So for instance, today I am filming in a different space. I'm at my mum's and I forgot to bring my little microphone with me, and initially I was really annoyed and I thought I'm not going to film at all, and then I was like, it's fine, perfect doesn't exist, we can still film a very good video and move on from it. So that was kind of already in my head before I went away. But to give one very specific example, there was a group of about 8 young women in our hotel, probably like mid to late 20s, and they were having the best time. They were very confident women, and I realised while I was away that when I'm in a situation like that with a group of very confident women, and it's always women, it's young women, and this has been a thing throughout my life, where it makes me feel lesser. And that's got nothing to do with the women. I was so happy for them. They were having the best time and I was like, yes. And it's not a jealousy thing because obviously I was there with my mum and I've done the whole young party thing while I was there at university. It wasn't that. It was more of a, because there's this big group of people who are really confident, I have to make myself smaller to make space for that. And I don't know where that comes from. Yes, I had a very nice time. Yes, I re-energized myself and my batteries. However, I then started to realise that there was maybe this thing in my head where I feel like I'm not allowed to take up space. And I want to work on that. So then throughout the holiday, I did do a lot better. By the time I was like, towards the end of my holiday, I was like, yes, I might be doing something different. Yes, I'm here for like a different reason. Yes, I might have different interests, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to take up space. And I think that's what it comes down to for me. It's this idealized picture, I guess, that is shown to us on social media and the movies and TV shows of this is what you're meant to be like as a young woman. And if you're not like that, then you're doing something wrong. And I think I've actually allowed that to like influence me, and I've realised, I guess, over the last year, I've been a bit like that, where I've been making myself smaller, I guess, for other people. I don't know how or why, but I have. But since I turned 30, I have been a lot better with that in terms of wearing clothes I want to wear, not hiding my body, being more feminine, taking up space, being more confident, allowing myself to do what I want to do and be happy with that and be confident in that, and not let, society tell me that what I'm doing and where I'm at in life is wrong. So it was a very productive holiday in multiple different ways. So like I say, I re-energized my batteries. I had this epiphany in my mind of how society has been conditioning me, and I finished a book. So we're going to talk about that now. We're going to talk about the bookish things. So the book I took with me was The Safekeep by Yael van der Wouden. So the author was born in the Netherlands, which is where this book is set. And obviously it was the winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction this year. So I like to read at least one book from the either short or long list. And this year, this was the one I wanted to read before I even found out that it had won. And then when I found out that it had won, I realised I had to read it. And it's definitely a worthy winner. So this one is set 15 years after the Second World War. And it follows our main character Isabel, who has kind of built this solitary life for herself in her family home. It doesn't actually belong to her. The home belongs to, I think, the youngest son. And obviously when he wants to settle down and get married, then he is going to have the house, basically. So even though she's living this solitary life in the family home, and she is very much looking after the family home and keeping it spick and span, there's this thing in the back of her head that obviously at some point it's not going to be hers. And Isabel is very much, she likes to control things, she likes to control how the house is kept, she likes to control who comes in and out of the house, and that all goes out of the window when Lewis's new girlfriend Eva basically gets delivered or turns up at the doorstep after Lewis has to go off to work, and tells Isabel that Eva will be staying with her, and the story ensues from there. I'm not going to say anything else because I think this is much better going into it blind. There are some things I think from the synopsis you can kind of expect are going to happen, and again, that's all I'm going to say. But I loved this. So I knew from the second I started this that I was going to love it, mainly because of the writing. So in my opinion, the writing kind of gives a sort of Du Maurier, Hemingway mix, sort of like when they were writing books that were set in sort of the 20s. It reads like that, which I think fits the time era really well, and the sort of like the synopsis of the book really well. On top of that, the author has created these really intense characters that I really enjoyed reading about, and despite it being quite a short book, I felt like you sort of really get this deep dive into them really quickly, and I think the writing kind of really helped with that. It enriched the characters really well. The same with the setting, so I would say that the author has kind of written the house like its own character, which I thought was really clever, and it really helps build the tension. So the characters help build tension, but because of the situation they're in the house and the things in the house particularly, all help build the tension, and I thought that was really, really cleverly done. It's also really important for me to like the characters from the beginning, for me to sort of like really care, especially for a short novel, and I really did care about these characters from the beginning, and I was really intrigued in where this story was going to go and where the story was going to take the characters, to the point that by the very last page I was crying, and I think I was crying more over the fact that the book was ending rather than what was happening in the book, because obviously the characters were leaving me and I got to know them and they're really intense characters really quickly and got like swept up in that. There are some also really intense themes covered in this that were all done really, really well, and there was a period of history sort of covered, or like something in history that happened that I actually wasn't aware of, and it kind of brought that to light for me, which again was great, and I then went on to even discuss that with like my partner, and he told me stories from his family, who had kind of, I guess, dealt with a very similar situation, and I think he had told me that before, but the intensity of the situation hadn't really hit me until after I read this. So I think it's something that I would maybe like to read more about, maybe a non-fiction book about it, covering like different periods of time, different areas of conflict, different countries in which this happened. I think that would be a very, very interesting concept for a non-fiction book, like delving into that. I'm not going into specifics because I don't want to ruin this, but I'm just going to end by saying that I cannot believe that this was a debut novel, mainly because from the offset, like I say, the writing was very unique and packs a punch, and it was very polished for a debut, but I will definitely be keeping an eye out for this author and anything else she writes, because just for the writing, I know I would definitely want to read more by this author. So I was very happy to finish that on the plane. There are a few other bookish things I want to share with you that have entered my life. Firstly, I want to share with you the bag that I took with me on holiday that became my sort of like beach bag. Because I ordered some really beautiful bookmarks from Melena's bookshop. I will leave a link to that in the description box. Because I'm from the UK, I'm never really sure what is better for me, but I ordered them from Etsy, because I know that like tax can sometimes be really confusing. And because I ordered them from Etsy, I by complete like luck, I was Melena's 100th order on Etsy, which meant that I got a free tote bag, and I was really, really excited. So I got this lovely, lovely tote bag from Melena's bookshop that says I'd rather be reading a classic, and like I say, I was wearing this or using this with pride on my holiday, and like we spoke to some people from the Netherlands and I had this with me and I was like, oh my god, my friend has an online bookshop, and that was really exciting, being able to talk to them about that. And then obviously we started talking about books, which was really cool. The other thing that has entered my life that I'm very, very happy about, that I also got from Etsy, is a Kindle cover, because obviously in my previous video I shared that I've scratched my beautiful brand new Paperwhite Kindle, but it's my own fault because I never bought a cover for it, but I don't like the hardcover ones because I like reading the Kindle as a Kindle. So I knew I wanted a kind of a sleeve, but a more protective sleeve, I guess. So I got this lovely embroidered like book sleeve or Kindle sleeve cover thing from Etsy. And what was really interesting, I had a couple in my basket and I was just trying to decide which one I wanted. And I ordered this one, and then when I got the email to say it had been dispatched, so it didn't arrive on time for me to take it on holiday with me, but that's fine. It had an address from my hometown, and I was like, that's not my address. Have I put in the wrong address? And then I realised the seller is based in my town, which I think is really, really cool. And that was like a complete accident, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I cannot wait to review this on Etsy as well. And yeah, it's just a beautiful little sleeve, and it fits my Kindle perfectly. So I'm very happy about that now. So I can take my Kindle with me everywhere and not worry about scratching it any more than I already have. And the last bookish thing I want to share with you is the book that I bought in Malta. So I always try to buy a book while I'm in Malta. I love their chain of bookstores. They're called Agenda Books, and every single time I go, I try to go to a new one. I wasn't able to do that this time just because I wasn't there for very long, so I went to the one in Valletta, which is one of my favourites, but they have made it bigger, which made me really, really happy. They've like expanded it. And we drove past a new one on the bus, and I really loudly was like, oh, that's new, that wasn't there before. So I think that's probably the new one that I spotted is probably going to be the one I go to the next time I go. But yeah, I always really, really enjoy the books that I buy when I'm in Malta. So one of the books that I bought is The Secret History. I bought The Bone Season in Malta. Right now I can't think of many others, but there has been a few. And this time I wasn't really sure what I wanted to get. I kind of thought I would just go and have a look. And then there was a couple of people reading around the pool area, and I saw this one lady reading a book by this author, and I think it was a book in this series by this author, and I thought, if they have it, and I feel like it's definitely a book that they probably will have, this is what I'm probably going to buy. And again, I think it really resonated with me in the fact that there was somebody reading it, and I've heard what it's about, and the feelings I was kind of feeling while I was away, and I guess as well female friendships and female relationships were really strong, especially because of me reading the Safekeep as well. So I'm very glad that I bought the book that I bought. So I'm going to share it with you. And I love getting them in paper bags. You've probably already seen that when I just took it out. But I bought My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. Obviously this is a very well-known classic or modern classic now. I don't know when it came out or when it was written, but it's part of a series called the Neapolitan Quartet. So there's 4 books in this series, but I do believe it just follows 2 best friends throughout their life, and they live in a neighbourhood in Naples. So again, sort of like the Mediterranean vibe is there too, which I also really love. I love reading books that are set in European cities, so Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, Naples, Rome. I'm trying to think of another one that I've probably read that's set in more recently maybe. But yes, that just gives you an idea. And I also love books about friendships, especially female friendships, so I just know I'm going to absolutely love this one. My mum also said that she has read this and loved it, which is always a good sign. So yes, I'm very, very excited about this one. I think the idea of it being a series kind of put me off, but my mum said that you can read them like they stand on their own kind of thing. So I'm kind of hoping it means that I maybe don't have to read the entire series, because I'm just not a big series reader anymore, especially when it comes to, I guess, fiction, just normal fiction or contemporary fiction, historical fiction, that kind of thing. I always resonate series with sort of like fantasy, because sometimes I think the world allows it to seep into a series and it makes the series more interesting. I kind of understand maybe if this follows them throughout their life, that's probably why it's a series, and obviously if I fall in love with these characters then even better, because there's more books. But yes, I'm very happy that I bought this one, and I don't know how long it's going to be until I get to this, but hopefully it's sooner rather than later. If you have read this or any others in the series or anything else by this author, please let me know. Maybe hype me up in terms of getting me to read this sooner. Yeah. So that is all for today. Thank you for listening to me ramble and just talk about what's been on my mind, about my holiday and about some books. It's always really helpful for me, and hopefully it's helpful for you too. Again, feel free to share what's been on your mind in the comments below, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye!